presentation of today, or let us continue our presentation. Now we are on data collection. I am sure that we have finished all the process related to data collection. We already have our title of the research or assignment. We have developed our research questions, objectives, as well as we have done with interview questions, which contain 20 interview questions, 4 major questions, and 16 sub-questions. That indicates our readiness to go ahead with data collection. And if you remember last time in the classroom, when I told you that you have to send your interview protocol or interview questions to someone to validate it for you. That is what we call pilot study. Pilot study is very, very important in our study before we carry out the activity, before we go to the field to get the data from the participant. By the time you want to collect your data, before you go and collect your data, try to review your objective of research. Check the component, check the focus of the question. Are these components, are these the component of the question are included, are the component of questions included or including in the objective of study? Did you maintain the objective stated in your question or not? What I'm trying to say is that before you continue your study, you have to check your research design very well, okay? And you check your research question very well before you carry on with your data collection. Actually, by the time you want to develop your instrument, you have to make sure your instrument, objective, research question are in line with each other. As I have said that there are several processes to take place before we get our data collected, starting from the structure of the title down to research objective, research questions, research design. These are crucial steps to take before we gather our data. Why it is important? It is for us to see clearly what are we going to do. That is number one. Number two is to see how are we going to do. to know what to do is different from to know how to do things. Therefore, it is very, very important for us to check our research questions and objective. As an example that I give to you last time, this research need to check some information, need to explore some information. Specifically, we want to explore moral development, cultural development, religion development, and educational development. We want to see how do the grandparents contribute to the development of their children educationally. So as we learn in this classroom, by the time you have one component, let's say education, for example, as I have it here, we can see what aspect of education we want to explore. So now we can see 2.1 here. We want to see motivation of the children. How do the grandparents motivate the grandchildren? As well as we want to see monitoring aspect. We want to see how do the grandparents monitor the progress study, the progress of their children in terms of study, doing assignment. Sometimes the student, they have some problem. Then we want to see how do the parent deal with arising learning problems. Maybe the teacher may give them assignment and they don't understand how to do it. How do the parent deal with such problem? Maybe they try to get in touch with the teachers. Maybe they ask the children to call the teacher. Some teacher give the phone to the children to ask the question. You get a point? How do they deal with that? Let's say the children are quite lazy. How do these grandparents deal with that? You get a point? So generally, this is the breakdown, the sub focus of the study. The focus of the study is to see what you call it, how do the motivation to see the contribution of grandparents on grandchildren in terms of education. So now the breakdown, that is one focus, or that is one component. So now we want to see over there, we want to see motivational aspect, we want to see monitoring aspect, we want to see how do they deal with arising problem at home. This is our three sub focus of that focus number 2. So therefore, we need to make sure that the interview question that we develop will include monitoring. It will include motivation. It will include problem solving, or how do the grandparent deal with arising problem at home. You get the point? We should check everything one by one. Why do we need to do that one? Because in the pilot study, that is pilot study. We need to check it very well, uh, uh, because in checking the instrument that we want to use uh, is to test what we tend to get, whether the instrument could get what we intend to get. You get the point? So, therefore, we need to really check our interview protocol or interview question very well. So, checking the interview questions, especially by the time you give it to another people to check it for you, is what we call pilot study. So the pilot study is used in different way in social sciences. Okay, it can be referred to what you call it, feasibility studies. So or small scale version. Those who specialize in economy, by the time someone want to borrow money in the bank, for example, they will ask, let's say I want to sell iPhone, or maybe I want to open restaurant for food. Then I need from Bank Islam to borrow me, let's say, 100,000 ringgit. They will ask me, what is guarantee that if they borrow me that 100,000 ringgit, I am going to return it back in 2 years? Did I sell something similar to that? Did I tested what you call it, the selling, the selling pattern in that area before where I want to open the shop? Then I need to think very well, and sometimes they may ask me to do write up. I mean, to submit some concept paper for them in order to see that yes, if they borrow me that 100,000 ringgit, they will realize it in 2 years. It will say less than that. So I will not run less. I will not run less. I will not run what call it lose. Means I will not lose my capital, or the bank will not lose their capital. You get the point? They will get their interest as well as the capital will be realized. So they need that one. You get the point? Not only that, even say by the time we want to develop program in the university, we have some feasibility studies that, okay, if you develop this program, are we going to get customer for this? Are we going to get customer in that sense as student? Are we going to get student if we continue to develop this new program and where we get approval from MQA and so on? If the university see that there's no possibility or the feasibility of getting student is weak, they will not approve it. It will say sometime we will start some program and later on they see that the success or the successfulness of the program is not visible. Then university will say, okay, don't continue that program. It's better to stop now rather than continue to work on it and not succeed. You get the point? So therefore, in economic, also they have what we call it feasibility studies. Is something we can call try out. So now you can see that's why if you look at down lower part of this PowerPoint, you can see a pilot study can be the pre-testing or try out of a particular research instrument. You get the point? So pilot study, sometimes they may call it feasibility study. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And also they call it pilot study in research. They call it pre-testing, sometimes they call it try out. But however, the common terminology in education is pilot study. So in pilot study, the pilot study can take a different, different shape, a different way. Sometimes the pilot study, you may have some terminology, they say face validity. Okay? Face validity is general checking. When you check something, you check your instrument, your interview protocol that you want to use to get an information, or you want to use it to explore an information from the participant. Then you give it to someone to read it, to evaluate it. You get the point? If you give me, then I read it generally. You get the point? So some of it they call it face validity. So then they have another, they call it content validity. Content validity in the sense that you give me, then I evaluate it word by word, terminology by terminology, paragraph by paragraph, construct by construct, means I read it deeply. Or you give to any specialist in education. You get the point? So by the time you give specialists in education, okay, then they give you comments. Then you have to, after they give you comments, you have to say something about the comments. For example, let me give an example. One time ago, I was trying to develop an instrument. Then I gave the instrument to some professional, some specialists in education. The one of the statements I remember very well is that the statement saying that my lecturer commanded me to be confident in my study. That is the statement. But the evaluator told me that why not I change the my lecturer commanded me to be confident in myself. Why not I change command to my lecturer encourage me? Because academic environment is not military zone where we use or where they use command. Rather, in learning environment, we use encourage, motivate. You get the point? So that terminology is more acceptable. Now, as a researcher, then I see what is telling me is good. It makes sense. Then I change the statement from my lecturer commanded me, and then I remove commanded, I replace it with encourage me. Okay. Now, you have to do something. By the time you write your pilot study, how did you pilot your instrument, your interview instrument? Don't say that you have done it and you say that the researcher requested some specialists in education to evaluate the instruments. And full stop. Yes, it's good. You give to 3 people, 4 people, 5 specialists to check your instrument. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to go ahead of that, ahead of reporting that you have given your instrument to 4 or 3 specialists in educational psychology, measurement, science education, for example, to evaluate the instrument or to check the appropriateness of the instrument. Full stop. Then, for example, you have to give at least 3 examples. Then you say, for example, what you call it, an evaluator indicate that it's better for the researcher to replace the terminology or the word of commanded with encouraged, because academic environment is not military zone or military barracks or police barracks where command is normally used. Get the point? It's normally used. Then full stop. Another evaluator suggests that. You get the point? So you have to write it down. 1, 2, 3, at least. Then you have to keep your, what you call it, your instrument being evaluated, being checked by a specialist or by group of specialists. You have to keep it at your attachment at the end of your research. Even say it's better for you, by the time they comment, don't throw the original one, they comment on it. Don't throw it. Okay? Then you get stamped. You get it stamped. Then you keep it. After the modified version of the instrument of the research protocol, then you keep both of them. The original you give to them, the comment, keep it. Then the updated one or improved version means the version that you have corrected, keep it at your attachment at the end of your research. So then you explain what you have done inside and give example, 2-3 example of correction that you have made. So what I'm trying to say is that don't just leave the correction in the attachment and there's no comment. You just say that the researcher give the instrument to 3 experts to evaluate it and their field were considered. Get the point? Or the researcher considered their comment to improve the instrument. But the question is that, what did you improve? Show it to us so that you are capable, you understand how to do research. You get the point? So this is the importance, this one aspect of the pilot study. Sometimes pilot study may be it may be in categories or in sections. It may not be, it might not be only one questionnaire or protocol, means interview protocol. It may not be like that sometimes. It may be one section of this interview protocol is for this aspect of the research, this one for another aspect, this one for another aspect. That's why I give you this example of this. Teacher Good Practice in Malaysia by Prof. Liba and other in UPSI is a research been given for, I think, for 5 years. So I don't really remember all the component of that research. Then also I don't remember this title very well. I don't know, maybe this is the actual title given to, but this is the the area of the study. Best practice or good practice in Malaysia. Get the point? It may be one of them because the paper, the project is not been published yet. Okay, now they have different aspects. They have teachers' curriculum knowledge. Okay, they have another one, teachers' understanding of the content. You get the point? Teaching content. Do the teacher understand what they want to teach very well? So another one is teacher's evaluation. Do the teacher really understand how to do the evaluation of their student, of their subject, of themselves as well? That point. The other point is teachers' ICT skills. Do the teacher have the ICT skills, necessary ICT skills? You get the point? This research I'm talking to you is before coronavirus at all. I think this research is about 5 years right now or 6 years. You get the point? This research is ahead of coronavirus. We don't know that we are going to have something they call coronavirus. You get the point? The Ministry of Education approved this research for them. But my point here is that they have several pilot studies. So one pilot study is on teacher curriculum. Another one is on teacher understanding. Another one is on teacher evaluation. Another one is on teacher skills. You get the point? So you can see this pilot study has different layers of research instrument or research protocol. What I'm trying to tell you is that it's not like you are doing right now. Your research just only one instrument. You get the point? Some research may be 3 instruments, 4 instruments, 5 instruments, depend on scope of the research. You get the point? So that is doing this is going to help the researcher to what? To know the fitness, the goodness of the research instrument or research protocol. Okay. Sometimes your research, if you don't, let's say for example, you want to develop qualitative research. Sometimes the qualitative research may start from quantitative. Then after that, You quantify the qualitative. Okay. Let me give you one example of that. This research, grandparent as educator. This grant was given to me, I think, 2012, if I'm mistaken. So then I checked different questionnaire. What I see in those questionnaire that are available to me, I'm not really interested in that. Those questionnaire is talking about authoritarian, you get the point, parent leadership style. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in the parent leadership style. I'm not really interested in that. I'm really interested in something different or something larger than that. So, because I don't have ready-made instruments, then I don't have practical experience, because sometimes you may develop instrument based on your practical experience. I don't have practical experience in this area. You get the point? Then, based on my review, I couldn't see a suitable instrument for that. What I did is that I go to my classroom, which is KPP 3014, Student and Learning Development. That classroom, it contain, or that subject contain university student. It is a university course that everybody must come to that class. So there are many lecturers who are teaching that subject. So I'm one of them. So what I did is that when I go to the classroom, I ask my student, I want to know how many of you stay with your grandparents, maybe your father, it may be grandma or grandpa. I need you. Then some of them raise their hand. I think there are about 9 of them, or let me say about quite sufficient of them in the classroom, maybe 5, 6, 7. I don't know the number precisely now. So what I did is that, okay, now, because that class is quite a huge class, then what I did is that I group them. Okay, I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students. Okay, one group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 students. One group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So I break my class into groups, into sections. Get the point? Now, then I put one of the students who stay or who stays or stayed with grandparents, spend long year with them. I put that in the middle. Then I ask her to speak to the student, and the student just write it down, what she's trying to say. You get the point? How they impact in her life. Also, they ask the question. So they document all discussion for me. They write it. So then I move around. Me also, I ask the question. I listen to them. I create the question. So I explore the idea of the dealing between the grandchildrens and grandparents. That is practical. They are talking to me from their personal experience with their grandparents. So after that, what I did is that I collected the contribution, the idea. I collected it. Then I asked them to type it for me. You get the point? Because that classroom is about learning and development. So what I'm doing is part of the classroom activity. It's not outside of the scope. It's within the scope, because over the classroom, we have learning. We have parents there. We have learning activity. We have learning environment. We have learning, maturity. All these, the component. Actually, it is psychology in nature. You get about psychological subject in nature. You get the point. So therefore, what I'm doing for them is part of the parenting contribution in the children development. You get the point? So therefore, I asked them to type it. They type it and they submit it to me. Now I come home. I have to sit down, reading the items. When I see this one, group number one, education, group number two, education, group this one, monitoring, this one, then I gather or I itemize all the idea. One question or one item, one idea. One item, one idea. Then I got more than 100 items. Then after that, I started grouping. This one go to the moral, this one go to the monitoring, this one goes to dealing with arising problem at home, this one go with culture, this one go with superstition, this one go with skill development. In some aspect, some parents they pass internationalization idea to them. They try to internationalization their children to deal with some people abroad. You get point? To deal with some foreign students. They encourage them to deal with foreign students, to speak with them, to interact with them. So I have that aspect. So this is how I started. I explored it. Remember, by the time I do definition of qualitative research, I told you the importance, the most important aspect of the qualitative research is to get rich information, in-depth information. You get the point? So therefore, when I gather all this information together, when I gather them, then I have to itemize it one by one. Then I group it. So then when I itemize it, then I started the quantifying the qualitative. From paragraph, I turn it to be items. Then after that, I create components. Component here is focus. This one goes under religion. This one go under the culture. This one go under the social skills. This one goes under education. You get the point? Then after that, I do the factor. Then after I finish all this one, then I send it to specialist to do face validity for me. After that one, I go for content validity. Then after that, I go for construct validity, where I use I use different statistical tool like principal component analysis, factor analysis, structural equation modeling. You get the point? For the items. Okay. So then after I finish this one, then I publish the the module fit of that questionnaire in 2014. Actually, before that publication, I go for one conference under UITM, and they want to select best paper presented, and they choose my paper and they ask me to come and speak in the public for all the audience. How did I develop this questionnaire? Then I explain everything to them from A to Z. You get the point? So at the end of the day, my paper was chosen as the sole best paper presented in that conference under UITM, under UTM KL campus in 2014. After that, the article being published. So my point here is that if you want to have a good instrument, you want to have good good research protocol, you have to do your pilot study before you try to before you collect your real study. You have to do that one. So after that one, you go for your actual study. That one is very, very important for you. So therefore, you need to do your pilot study. You need to do your pilot study. After your pilot study, everything, you have finished your phase validity, you have done your content validity. You get the point? Yes, in qualitative research, you don't need to do your construct validity, because construct validity is going to take you to pure, pure quantitative research. But you can start, you can develop your questionnaire using the research, using the qualitative method. Then after that, you quantify the qualitative. So later on, after this classroom, I will take you around the quantifying the qualitative, quantifying the qualitative aspect of qualitative research. So now you have to do this one. There's no option. Then I've told you what you need to do in this classroom. But for your actual study, you have to make sure that you do your phase validity and content validity, because this is qualitative research class. Now, why do we need to do, in conclusion, why do we need to do the pilot study? About is to tell you where the main research project could fail. That means the terminology you use. If you give to people to check it for you, you will know if the participant will have problem in dealing with some specific terminology that you use in your research. You know that one. I got a point. Okay, let me give you one example. It looks simple, but it is complicated. Let me give you one example for that. Okay. Alex, let me ask you.
Doctor.
Let me ask you a question. I don't want anybody to talk or give me answer in this classroom. Are you a Malaysian, right?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you Malay or Chinese or Indian?
I am Sabahan.
Okay, Sabahan. Let me ask you a question. What is kunyit?
Kunyit is turmeric.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
That you use to cook chicken, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know another meaning for that?
Lady boy? How
Okay.
should I say it? If in some cases they call it like a fondant, like a guy who is act like a woman, like
Okay.
that lah.
Okay. Noor Ajiha.
Yes, doctor.
Do you know what is that? Kunyit. Are you a Malay, right?
Yes.
Okay, kunyit.
Kunyit for me, turmeric. Turmeric, doctor.
Turmeric.
Yes.
What is your age? Can you plus minus your age? You don't tell me actually, because some people don't want to tell your age. Plus minus. Plus minus. What's your age? Plus minus. Just minus 2-3 years from it.
25.
Okay, 25. Okay. Do you know another meaning for what to call it? Kunyit.
No, doctor.
Okay, good. This is good example. Now, let's say I'm conducting research. Then I use the word of kunyit. I use the word of kunyit. Kunyit in Malaysia is a terminology used for something like yellow color, right? Yellowish, yellow color, right? For that they put in the body of the chicken and fried it or cook it. That is a common meaning in the society. Now, let's say I use kunyit. I may not pay attention to it that not everybody in Malaysia know that kunyit is used for gay. You get the point? So, but if I give this questionnaire or interview protocol, I send to someone to check it for me. You may see that, hello, excuse me, you use kunyit here. Be careful. Not all Malaysians know what is kunyit. All of them know what is kunyit as yellow, but not all of them know kunyit as a specific terminology used to call or to identify who is a gay in the society. So they will tell you this. Let me give you another example. Why do you need to do your content validity very well? Or face validity? Why do you need to do pilot study? Or whether you say face validity, content validity, construct validity, all these are under pilot study. Get the point? So let me give you another terminology. Noor Hajia, let me ask you a question.
Okay, doctor.
What is pointer? Hannah, do I have Hannah here? Hannah, are you online with me?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, good. What is pointer? Because I cannot see your picture because this recording is covers some part of the images here. Okay. Hadia. Okay. Let me ask you a question. What is pointer? Pointer. Pointer.
For SEM 1, doctor.
Okay, you mean that the student who is something like CGPA?
Okay.
Accumulated result from when I finish examination. So this is what they use it in Malaysia here. Okay, good. Do you know another meaning for for pointer?
No, doctor.
Okay, good. Alex, what do you know about if I say pointer? What is meaning of that in your understanding?
Pointer. Point.
CGPA.
Marks.
Okay, marks. Do you know another meaning for that?
No, doctor.
Okay, good. Hannah, what do you know about pointer?
Pointer, maybe a device used to point at slides or something.
Okay, as a slide indicator to indicate to
Yeah,
point
yes.
to. Okay. Okay, let me ask another question. This one to show that how the pilot study, the importance of pilot study, to show the importance of, some people thought that pilot study, just lecturer, can you please do the pilot study? No, it's not like that. Pilot study is very, very important. Okay, now, what about signal? Alex, what do you mean if they say signal? What do you mean by that?
Sorry, doctor?
Signal.
Signal means, how to say it in English? Signal means a sign.
Okay, sign. Can you give me an example of signal that you know? Just one example, name. Signal of what?
The car signal left and
Okay,
right.
gas signal. Okay, I got the point. Okay, no, Raja. What do you know about signal?
Signal means for me like language signal.
Okay, language signal. Another one.
For car signal.
Okay, gas signal.
Okay, that's all I know.
Okay, that's all what you know. Okay, that's good. Hannah, signal.
Yes, maybe body language signals like okay or
Okay, body
money.
language like this. Okay, stop. Okay,
Yes,
excellent.
maybe.
Fantastic.
Yes,
Something like that. Okay. Another signal.
maybe on writing, for example, dollar signal.
Okay. What another thing?
Traffic signals.
Traffic
No,
signal, another thing.
that's
Okay,
it.
I've got the all idea. Okay, now let me come to the point of the environment, the location of the research. By the time you want to construct your instrument, you want to construct your interview protocol, you have to think very well about the environment and the category of the people. Now, when I mention about the Korean turmeric. Now, when I mention it, you have to remember very well the category of the people. Not every Malaysian know that they use this Korean. They use it for gay. Though I don't know why they use it for gay. I don't know. I don't ask for that yet. Okay. However, but young generation, 50 years, 20 years, 25 years, this terminology is common among of them. Practically, when I go to my qualitative class, when I have more senior teachers, those who are 45, 50 years teacher, many of them do not know that they use Queen for gay. Many of them, they don't know. They're surprised when I say, hey, doctor, how do you know that? Who taught you that Kuwait is for gays? I say, learn it for these young students. They taught me that in the classroom. You get the point? So my point here is that you have to make sure that everybody in the in the research location, your participant, do understand all the terminology you use in your research. You have to be careful. Even at sometimes you have to be careful in using some professional terminology. For example, like self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, some people do not know what self-efficacy. But those psychologists, they know what self-efficacy. Instead of using self-efficacy, okay, you can use self-confidence, to believe in myself. Use some terminology that people will understand. Now, let me back to my point. Okay? Now, category of the people. The country you are taking the terminology to. That is why sometimes, let's say Alex developed a protocol, okay, interview protocol now, then I want to adapt that. I should read it carefully. I want to use it in Nigeria, or I want to go to an Arab country, maybe Egypt, maybe Misri, maybe Qatar, maybe Emirates, maybe Emirat, whatever. Whenever I want to use it, maybe in Indonesia, I have to read it sentence by sentence. Do Alex use some terminology that Nigerians do not understand, or it will create confusion in Nigeria? For example, now I ask the pointer. Why I asked that question intentionally. In Nigeria, if you mention pointer in Nigeria, the first thing go to the brain of Nigerian is signal of the car. You get the point? They call it pointer in Nigeria. So that is British English language. Okay? Because they used to British, we know that one for a long time ago. If I want to check the which one is American English, which one or British English language, when I came to Malaysia, for example, sometimes I confuse. But when I go back to the old people in Nigeria, what terminology do old people in Nigeria use for such item or such subject, object, then I will know, no, this is British English language. In Nigeria, they call it pointer. The pointer of the car. You get the point? If you write something like, you have to be careful. But in Malaysia here, they don't call pointer. If then you ask them, many of them do not know if that pointer, they use it for the car. They will say signal. You get the point? So therefore, the environment, the participant of the environment of the participant is very, very important. You get the point? So you have to really check it very well. The way you structure your language, you get the point? You have to be really, really careful about it. If not, you may get wrong information. They may just answer your question. Or do you want your participant to take dictionary before they answer your question? No, it is not like that. You get the point? So therefore, by the time you do your pilot study, you will know where the main research project could fail. Then you will know where do you need to relax the protocol. You get the point? Then you will know what is appropriate terminology, or what are the appropriate terminologies to be used. What are inappropriate terminologies to be used in your research. That's why you need to do a pilot study. So pilot study, in conclusion, is very, very good. It's going to show you the fitness, the suitability of your instrument, your protocol, interview protocol, to the actual study, to actual environment. Is going to tell you whether the participants are going to understand your question or not. You get the point? It's going to tell you whether some terminology in that item, in that question, interview protocol could create confusion. Whether that terminology it might be difficult for your participant to understand. At the end of the day, they may not be able to answer your question very well. You get the point? During the interview, they will ask you, hello, apa maksud kunyit? Kunyit? What's kunyit? I don't know. Apa itu? Lagi-lagi, what is again? Self-efficacy? What's self-efficacy? I don't understand what's self-efficacy. Don't let people ask you to clarify your point unnecessarily. Finally, be careful. If you know language very well, maybe you are very good in language, you are professional in language, you are very good in language, you get the point? Don't show your skills in that way. Then you go and use kalimatun, words that is difficult for people. Matino loga. You get the point? Okay. Abatta al-akiyas. You get the point? Then you want them to take dictionary to go and check what is abatta al-akiyas. You want them to go and check dictionary before they understand you? Or are you a sadilu? What is this? Use simple language. Use simple terminology for your participant to understand. Remember, it's not their skill you want to test. It's the idea you want to get. It's the idea you want to explore. So you do your best to make your sentence accurate, simple, to get what you intended to get. So that is a pilot study. Thank you very much. Do you have any question on that?
Doctor, may I ask?
Okay.
So the pilot study is somewhat connect with the validity and reliability, right, of research.
Okay, thank you for this question. When you go to section of validity and reliability, so normally they are talking about your pilot study. You get the point? So validity will be by the time you checked or someone evaluate your instrument, like the one I say right now. What you call it? They asked me to replace the command with encourage. You get the point? To replace it. So the place I will report that one is under validity. The validity of the instrument. You get the point? Then you tell the people, how did you develop your instrument? Maybe you get some of the instrument from someone. Okay, what is genuinity of that instrument? Let's say I adopt Alex's instrument. Why did I adopt your instrument? is good. How do I convey to the people that your instrument is good? They have to go to your validity of this instrument. Get the point? Upon that, since I adopt it, so I go to another specialist to evaluate the instrument for me to be used in Malaysia here. Maybe to be used in Malaysia here. You get the point? So therefore, the report of your pilot study will be under the validity of the study. Okay, if you do quantitative, for example, they may ask you to check your reliability of the instrument. You get a point? They may ask you to check it. So to check the reliability of maybe you use alpha, you get a point? You use it to check the items, what they are loading, and so on. They may ask you to do that. But generally, if you do your what's called qualitative research or quantitative, checking the result of content validity, face validity, even self-construct validity will be reported under the validity of the instrument or validity of research interview or research interview protocol.